Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namo namaha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Patanjali. You recognize this figure? Half snake, half man? For all of those into the so-called yoga of today, take this image to your church, mosque, synagogue, for example, and tell them this is who you are beseeching when you do classical yoga and make reference to Patanjali. And of course, all of you remember that the Saiva Hindu guru Patanjali, and he truly was, his guru was Tirunandi, and his guru brother was Tirumular, who wrote the famous treatise to Siva, the Tirumantram. Remember that sage Patanjali never mentions any specific asana at all. So therefore, the Yoga Sutras are not a manual for Hatha Yoga. And remember, the Yoga Sutras are inspired by Sanmukhanada Muruganji, Ganapati's brother, and they are considered one of the 6 orthodox systems of Hindu philosophy, and they're really designed for Hindu male renunciate yogis in training, though others can learn a lot from them, but they're very intense, very severe in their training. So let's look at a paper entitled Patanjali Descended to See the Dance, Not to Sculpt Abs and Sell Yoga Pants. There is a quiet absurdity at the heart of much modern yoga today. It presents itself as ancient, timeless, and universal, yet often strips away the very story that explains why yoga exists at all. But remember, Patanjali was just codifying that which already existed within the Hindu yoga dharma. What remains in this modern yoga is flexibility without deep philosophy. Posture without really purpose, and movement divorced from meaning. The Yoga Sutras did not descend into the human world to improve beach bodies. It descended to witness the cosmic dance. According to the classical Hindu yoga tradition, Patanjali, the compiler of the Yoga Sutras, was the incarnation of Sesha, the great cosmic serpent upon whom Vishnu reclines. One day, Sesha noticed Vishnu gently swaying in rhythmic motion. When asked why, Vishnu replied that he was watching his friend Shiva Nataraja dance. Harihara Ekarupa Gunashila, my friends. Sesha's response is extraordinary in its humility. Quote, I wish I could be born with human eyes, so that I too could see this dance. That wish becomes the yoga philosophy's origin story. Yoga was born from longing, not lifestyle. Patanjali's descent is not motivated by power, conquest, moral authority, 200-hour certifications, yoga studios, yoga personalities, yoga stars. It was motivated rather by direct perception. The desire to see, experience, and participate in reality as it moves. This is why Patanjali is traditionally depicted as half human, half serpent. The serpent represents continuity, memory, evolutionary energy, kundalini. The human represents limitation, discipline, breath, and mortality. True yoga lives between eternity and effort. In the Yoga Sutras, postures appear briefly only as a means to sit steadily for breath attention and insight. Sthira Sukham Asanam, that's it. The true concerns of yoga are suffering and its causes, the instability of perception, ethical grounding, disciplined attention, and liberation through clarity. That Patanjali was born in the Chidambaram region is not symbolic decoration. Chidambaram is the sacred home of Siva Nataraja, where dance is cosmology made visible. Yoga emerges from this world, it does not float above it. When yoga, and we're speaking of Hatha Yoga here, is divorced from Hinduism, consequences follow. Ethics become optional. Authority goes unchecked. Personality cults arise. Scandals involving abuse, exploitation, and misconduct proliferate. These are not accidents, but symptoms of a practice stripped of its moral and philosophical roots. Cultural erasure is normalized when Sanskrit, chakras, mantras, and Hindu imagery are retained while Hindu origins are denied. Universality does not require erasure. Transmission does not require amnesia. Hinduism and the Hindu yoga religion is open to all. Anyone may study, anyone may commit, anyone may become a Hindu. What is required is sincerity, discipline, and ethical grounding. The most ethical path for anyone who wishes to teach yoga is to study the tradition, commit to it, and teach from within rather than from appropriation. Patanjali did not descend to sculpt bodies or sell apparel. He descended to witness rhythm, impermanence, and grace. Yoga begins not with a pose, but with all. So remember, my friends, that the Sanskrit Hindu word yoga per se has nothing to do with the physical body. It means yuj, atman, brahmancha, to yoke yuj to one's atmana and brahman. And atmana is our Hindu understanding of the inner essence, different from soul and spirit, so we have to be careful there. And that atmana is the provable experience of Sat Chit Ananda, pure consciousness, pure energy, sound energy, light energy, heat energy, which becomes the inner experience of Ananda or bliss. Now, in this classic story of Patanjali's birth, we all know that story where the woman went down to the pond to take her morning bath. She was barren of child, and she scooped up the little water, and there was a little snake. She took it home, and this became the boy Patanjali. That's why he's depicted as half snake and half boy. Of course, it's a mythological story, but there's profound symbolism here, because the snake becomes, obviously, fully associated with Mahadev Shiva, and this was the whole purpose of Patanjali's birth, was to have a deep relationship with Shiva. So it's not a coincidence he was born in the what Saiva Hindus call the center of the universe, Chidambaram village, and the famous Chidambaram Nataraja temple that also has the mystical Rahasyam, or the sacred empty shrine. And if one goes there, one will see depicted on the walls murals of this story of Patanjali. And this is classically where the Bharatanatyam students go for their final exam. The dancing Shiva, Nataraja, the divine dancer with burning ashes smeared thick. My garland plated with love's incense I lay. Om Namah Shivaya. Now, to all the non-Hindus that are infatuated with yoga, please do the right thing. Take a step back. Stop this teaching. Become a Hindu. It may take some years to do. Make a formal commitment. This is if you want to teach. This would be true to any of the religions of the world. You become part of that religion first, then you teach. And remember, then you can't make a business out of it. All true religious teachings are giving on a dakshina basis, donation basis in general, dakshina to the Hindus. I know this seems a little naive with the proliferation of the massive spurious yoga movement, but should we continue to do the wrong thing? However long it takes, we must change this attitude of appropriation, colonization mindset that you are partaking in if you are pilfering yoga from the Hindus and pretending to be a yoga teacher. And of course, it was the capitulating and weak and lazy Hindus that allowed all of this to happen and still do. So it's to them that we also have to say, in the spirit of Swami Vivekananda, who was very firm with his fellow Hindus and with himself. He prayed to Mother Kali, make me a man. And he was very proud to be a Hindu. So to the Hindus, we have to say that you need, like Swami Vivekananda said, reject weakness. Weakness is not humility. Weakness is denial of the divine within. To think of yourself as small, helpless, or inferior is the greatest transgression against the Atmana. Stand up without apology. The Hindu Yoga Dharma does not require permission. Hindu civilization does not need validation from outside traditions. Stand rooted, without aggression and without apology. Strength is truly coming from the inner essence of the Atmana. Spirituality, if you will, that produces fear, passivity, or timidity is false. True spirituality creates courage, clarity, discipline, and resilience. First know, then speak. Ignorance, avidya, creates silence. Knowledge creates steadiness. Study deeply, then speak calmly. Don't shout, but don't retreat either. Humility with a spine. Bow to truth, not to intimidation. Be humble before the infinite, but never servile before false authority. The Yoga Alliance. Discipline before devotion. Emotion without discipline collapses. Devotion without strength dissolves character. Build your character, body, and mind. Remember, the classic 4 yogas of the Hindu Yoga Dharma are Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Gyan Yoga, in that order. Karma must be first. We have to learn to do the right thing, and then exercise full-on devotion, Bhakti Yoga, then deep contemplation, Raja Yoga. Keep up the process, and one will achieve the ongoing state of enlightenment. In light we're meant to be. Uncover the antar jyotir, the inner light. Defend dharma, but without hatred. Defense is not violence, my friends. Ahimsa does not mean that we cannot critique, confront others. Clarity is not hostility. Speak up for the dharma without bitterness, without fear, and without shame. Awaken others by example. Do not beg others to respect you. Live in such a way that respect becomes unavoidable. Now, the West, meaning the materialistic mindset, is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. Inferiority is the enemy. Confusion is the enemy. Truth has nothing to fear from dialogue. Arise and walk forward. The age of silence is over. The age of arrogance is unnecessary. The age of calm strength has begun. In Swami Vivekananda's words, awake, arise, and not stop till the goal is reached. Awake, arise, look and see, thou art that Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. And remember what Swami Vivekananda said about the word Hindu for all of those who deny the word. Quote, when the name Hindu sends a galvanic shock through your entire being, then and then alone are you a Hindu. End quote. And, quote, when you come to the aid of any Hindu in distress, then and then alone are you a Hindu. End quote. Wake up, Hindus. Support your gurus, your ashrams. Study your shastras. Do your sadhana. Extremely important that you support the ashrams. Say to yourself, I've got a dot on my head, and it's really, really red. It's a bindu. Because I'm a Hindu, and I'm proud to be a Hindu. What about you? And I do yoga because it is Hindu. Karma bhakti, hatha is to Rajagyana, it's all yoga. It's all Hindu. It's not boga, meaning bogus. So yes, we wish others well, and we do our part to help alleviate the suffering of others, but we need to stand up for the Hindu yoga dharma and stop letting others pilfer from us, and certainly we don't want to join in and capitulate to this modern spurious yoga movement. So let's end with a prayer. Sarvesham swasthir bhavatu, Sarvesham shantir bhavatu, Sarvesham purnam bhavatu, Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu, Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, Sarve santu niramayaha, Sarve bhatani pashyantu, ma kashya dukha bhag bhavetu. Words and their meanings are ever united like a marriage. Rishi Kalidasa, who didn't start out life as an intelligent man, but through his hard work and through the grace of Ma Kali and Ma Saraswati, he became a rishi. So too, the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali, when it comes to words and their meanings, remember yoga is Yujatman Brahmacha. Yoga is all about the Hindu Dharma. Don't use words like yoga, guru, mantra, chakras, and not fully respect their meaning and where they come from. To Patanjali, that is to enter into the state of vikalpa or delusion. Sabdayananupati vastu sunyo vikalpaha, Patanjali. And finally, we must all turn the gaze inward and go from untruth to truth, just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago, written in Brihad Aranyaku Upanishad, Asato ma sadgamaya. Humbly admit our ignorance as we move to an ever more enlightened state of being, Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, and then tapping into that immortal nectar of bliss, of the eternal nature of the Atmana inside of all of us. Atma darshana paramo dharma, my friends. Mrityormamritam gamaya. Seeking peace, yes, but this must be a peace of strength and justice, not capitulation and a false humility. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Maha Patanjali.